aspect of your business that you'd like to address. We want this to be user-friendly, if you will, for you. And the other thing I wanted to say, if I may, is about this issue of cost, which is that Fairmine Gold, there is a premium. There are other, this is in no way to diminish Fairmine Gold, but it is to say that this is an industry in which there are many entities and many people who are working to make, if you will, product available, not necessarily at a premium, but to ensure ethical sourcing and sustainable practice. So, for example, one of the goals of, and no, I'm not a spokesperson, but Gemfields, for example, is to provide ethically sourced stones with a chain of custody and without a premium. There is the possibility of using reclaimed metal with a chain of custody. So there are options, a range of options, and we're here to be a resource to help you explore whatever it is that might interest you. And now we go to the 64,000-pound gorilla, or whatever that idiom is, made in America, which is a very compelling concept and very much of the moment.
So hi, I hear there's been some talk about this. Made in America is a very difficult standard to achieve in the jewelry industry. The concept of Made in America is regulated by the Federal Trade Commission, and in order for a product to be called Made in America legally in the United States, it must be all or substantially all made from parts that originated in the United States. The jewelry industry, it's often impossible to do this in the jewelry industry. There are a few areas where you can. If you're getting silver and turquoise from Arizona, that's cool. If you're using those Montana sapphires that I've been reading about, you might be able to call something Made in America, but again, that depends on what you're setting it in. If you're setting a Montana sapphire in gold that originated outside of the US, you cannot call that product Made in America. What can you do? You can say, Made in America from the world's finest materials. You can say, designed in America from the world's finest materials. You can say, assembled in the USA. If you look at the back of the box of an iPhone or any Apple product, it says designed in California on it. That's because they can't call their products Made in America either. They're all manufactured in China from parts originating in China. It's again, a very difficult standard to achieve in the United States. I strongly recommend that you do not put Made in America on your products unless you can verify that all of the parts that were used in that product were actually originated from the United States. I often get questions about, well, how come the fashion industry can say Made in America on their stuff when all the fabric comes from Bangladesh and wherever, and how come the auto industry gets to say Made in America even though their parts were made outside of the US? The answer is because Congress has exempted both of those industries from the Made in America laws. Both the fashion industry and the auto industry have specific exemptions that allow them to say Made in America for their cars. And they say it's because it undergoes a substantial transformation in the United States. Those parts come from all over and then they're substantially transformed in the US, and so they are allowed to say that. If you're interested in in getting an exception, I strongly suggest that you set up a meeting with your congressperson and tell them that this is important to you. And I'm actually quite serious about this because Congress has the ability to change this. And if you think that it's important for the jewelry industry to be able to say Made in America for your products, then ask for that. Be an advocate. There are some organizations in the jewelry industry who are doing this now, but we need more voices.
Doug, did you?
I would say that what you're saying is absolutely correct. I think your question of substantial transformation is substantial transformation has been discarded and brought back in, discarded, brought back in according to the clout you have. U.S. Jury Council, all of you are probably members of organizations that are members of the U.S. Jury Council. And one of the things that we do is lobby in Washington, D.C. And this is a question of a lobbying issue. We need to get the language changed. Our materials are substantially transformed. They're no longer products of where they originally came from according to international law. But Congress goes around those things. So I would say U.S. Jury Council is a great place to start. Contact your association, say what can we do to urge our legislators to look at this. And then wait 25 or 30 years.
Yeah, and there's also an initiative in the that's happening in the jewelry industry now to petition the Federal Trade Commission to change their standards so that they could call recycled metals made in the USA. So if you were recycling your scrap from your bench and that gets melted down and re-refined and et cetera, could you call that made in USA? And the answer right now is no, but we're asking the Federal Trade Commission again to reconsider that notion, because we think consumers would understand that metal really has come from recycled entities. This is also going to be discussed at the Gold Conference that Lisa talked about that is happening in New York in April. So if you want to find about this more, come to the Gold Conference. But also, again, this is an area that we at JBC are constantly dealing with, and I'm always available to help you work through it and to help you find language that makes sense for your products and that follows the FTC regulations.
One thing I wanted to say, and then we just want to throw this open to anything you might want to ask, but the FTC guidelines really evoke a lot of passionate feelings from people, and this issue of clout that Doug raised is just unbelievably important. And there are people and organizations who are working to change this. Join them, bolster them, speak out, and it is the collective voice and power that changes things. So, and we've learned this from everyday politics currently. So please, speak out. The other thing that I wanted to mention quickly is advertorial versus information pieces. The FTC in the jewelry industry, which Sarah alluded to briefly, this is another really, really hot issue that the FTC is coming down on very hard. It is something we're going to do a panel on at the Gold Conference. It's something that is really important, which is how you put forth the word about your product. And having said that, please, we have 5 minutes.
Actually, we have probably 2 minutes.
Okay, we have 2 minutes. So anybody, any questions? Scott, the shy person.
I guess one of the big issues, and Doug can probably address this better, but is the conundrum of the wealthiest country on the planet going into third world countries and telling them what to do and how to do it by our standards, not by their standards. So if you go into Burma and you say, look, we're just not buying that product, even though we bought half of everything that came out, you don't have our money anymore. So do we do more harm than good? And is it politically driven instead of emotionally driven, or driven by your passion, or driven by what's right for the people that you're serving? And as our country has proven by the last election, we're 50-50 on way different ends of the spectrum. And how do we really know that we're not acting from a bully pulpit, but from a position of good?
That's a great question. Doug, do you have anything you want to say about that? Because I know you were in Myanmar.
With due respect to the vendors upstairs, I don't have time to answer that. But if you go to our website or JA website, specifically to know what we did to the government and miners in Burma,
Thank you for coming, you guys.
there's a publication called Step by Step, and you can download it. You can download it in Burmese if you want, because people don't have a challenge. But it's available and tells you what's happening with the government. And you're right, it's the laws, the rules, regulations. regulations, everything's in turmoil. They're trying to work in the right direction.
And they also, just so you're aware, this isn't only related to the jewelry industry, but it's all industries, and it's all developing countries do not want to be told by outside governments how
Thank you,
to
everybody.
function. And so they work with, people make a concerted effort to work with the nonprofit organizations and people on the ground to make sure that those voices are heard. Everybody, they want to make more money. So it's like, we want to help you make more money, use local people on the ground, you tell us how we can all work together to make it a possibility.
Thank you, everybody. We're going to hang around in the event that some of you would like to talk with us, and we really appreciate your time this morning and look forward to continued conversations. Have a super day. Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Thank you.
See you.